In this video, I'm going to be talking about narcissism in the sense of family of origin, where you are basically entrapped in the cycle of trying to prove yourself or jump through hoops, whatever you want to call it, kind of like a circus animal. Now, this is done on purpose, so don't waste your time. It took me decades to figure that out, that no matter what you do, it'll never be enough. It'll never be good enough. And you'll be forever jumping through hoops and being frustrated, and it'll never work. Now the thing is, why is it like that? It's because the narcissistic family, they're never pleased because they don't want to be pleased. I don't know what the reason really is, but basically it's like some people, no matter what you do, they always complain. And they don't want to solve any problems because then they'd have nothing to complain about. So with the narcissistic family of origin, they don't want to ever be satisfied because then again they have nothing to complain about. They always want to be dissatisfied so they can always criticize you, put you down, whatever. They're not going to be happy with you because then they would have no reason to give you any negative BS, right? I would have to stop. So they don't want to stop that. They want to keep that going forever. Now, there's some thoughts I have regarding this. Depends how you want to deal with it, but I've found this to be true over, like I said, decades. One thing you can try, it depends on the person, I guess, but um, try and ask that person, the narcissistic person, try and ask them directly, what exactly do you want? See what they tell you. I did that once with my mom, and you know what? I didn't get an answer. So if you can ask the person, try and see what they want in detail, record it and or write it down, and see if they're going to agree that if they get what they want, then they're going to basically shut up. I don't think you're going to get that. You might not get, like what I got, I didn't get an answer as in what you really want, because they don't want you to know what they want. They don't want to put it down in specifics because then, see, then their game would be over because then once they tell you what they want, you give them what they want, and they have to shut up. They don't want that. They want to keep this going. They want to keep you jumping through hoops forever, trying to prove yourself. That's one way to do it. And the other thing is you have to realize, like, how long have you been doing this? Like with me, like I said, it was a long time. And you can only do this for so long and you just give up. It makes the person really angry. You could become bitter, which is not good. Bitterness isn't good because it hurts you. It's kind of easy to become that way over time. But you have to think, okay, well, when is this going to end? It isn't. That's the thing. Because by you trying to prove yourself to the narcissistic parents or whoever, you're putting them in control. You're giving them power to basically approve of you or disapprove of you. They don't deserve that power. Nobody does, really. No human being on earth deserves that power because that's what they are. They're just human beings. Some of them don't act like it, but that's all they are. They're not God. So other than doing basic what's right and what's wrong, you shouldn't have to prove yourself to anybody. If you want to prove yourself, who you should prove yourself to is, I guess, yourself. Look at yourself, do self-reflection, prove yourself to God. That's it. You don't need to prove yourself to anybody. So the other problem with this trying to prove yourself is ends up being in usually two different directions or anywhere in between, but usually two. One is you basically become, I don't know how to put it, you become like, not like a workaholic, but kind of like that. You become obsessed with proving yourself, and you become, I guess, an overachiever. It could be a workaholic. You could become someone that you're you're kind of compelled to succeed, not because you really want to, but because you want to prove yourself. You want to prove your worth. You want to prove that you can succeed. You want to prove that you're not a loser or whatever, like what your family treats you like, or a piece of garbage, right? So you want to prove the opposite. So then you can become a workaholic, I think, from that or whatever. Now, the other opposite end is you could actually just give up and say, well, what's the point? I'm not going to try. I'm not going to do anything. And that's the opposite. Now you're underachieving. Now you're not reaching your full potential because you're thinking, well, what's the point? No matter what I do, it's never good enough, so I'm not even going to try. Okay, those two extremes aren't good. It'd be somewhere in between. But the thing is, you need to, as you get older, you need to get out of trying to prove your value outside of yourself to somebody else. You need to figure out what you want to accomplish because that's what you want, and do what you want for yourself, not to impress anyone else or prove yourself to anyone else. Because once you try to prove yourself to someone outside of yourself or impress someone outside of yourself, you're giving that person power over you. Because if they give you approval, that's fine. That can motivate you in that. But what happens if they don't? Okay, then you're undermining yourself based on somebody else. And there are some people that'll use that against you. So if someone doesn't have your best interest in heart, you're going to let them control you like that. Is that worth it? Who are these? Like I said, these people aren't God. They're just a person, and some of them don't even act like human beings. Why would you give someone that much power over you? It isn't worth it. So the other thing is, I do a separate video on gratefulness, the narcissist, but it's kind of related to that. Basically, these kind of people, they have such a sense of entitlement that they think that someone has to prove themselves to them. We're not talking about like an intimate relationship where you kind of prove yourself to each other, a mutual thing. With the narcissistic person, the family of origin, it's a one-sided thing. It's where you have to prove yourself to them, your value, worth to them. They don't have to prove nothing to you. So it's a one-way street. But the thing is, you see, you'll never get this approval. It doesn't matter what you do. It's like someone dangling a carrot in front of your face, but you never get the carrot. So it doesn't work. You'll never prove yourself. It just won't work. They'll purposely withhold that approval just to keep you jumping through hoops. I think with some of these people, it's kind of a sick, sadistic entertainment for them to see how many hoops they can get you to jump through. I think these people, some of them are really sick in the head. I mean, what are they doing to prove themselves to you? Probably nothing. And yet you have to prove yourself to them. Well, I could tell you stories. I don't want to say everything, but I have tons of these kinds of people, unfortunately, in my family of origin, even in my other relations related to marriage. And it's sickening. And I'm at the point where I don't prove myself to anybody. If someone doesn't want to treat me, with respect, they can basically piss off. I don't need them. And it took me decades to reach that, you know. But why waste your time? You only have one life to live. You're not getting any younger. Nobody is. You're wasting your time because these people, they will always be dissatisfied with what you do. They're always going to want you to prove something, jump through more hoops, and jump through more hoops, and jump through more hoops, and jump through, it'll never end. And these people are sick. I think some of them, they get their jollies out of this. They're sick in the head. They're just freaking evil. That's what it is. They're just evil. And it's not their low self-esteem. I don't buy any of that. It's pride. Narcissism's root is pride. It's not low self-worth. You would think if someone had low self-worth, they would be way more humble. Narcissists are not humble, they're full of pride. Pride is what drives them. Because I hear a lot on YouTube about low self-esteem. I don't buy that for 1 minute. I think it's pride. The same thing that was the downfall of Lucifer became Satan in the Bible. It was pride, full of yourself. Nothing good ever comes out of people that are full of themselves. So yeah, so basically it's a trap. This trying to prove yourself. It's a trap. It'll never work. Especially if you got like in my family origin, you got that's the other thing I should say before I type the video. Regarding sibling rivalry. Like in my family, I have only one sibling, a sister that's 10 years older than me. Now, when the parents do the triangulation and they kind of pit one kid against another. So since I'm the scapegoat, you want to set up a situation where I'm competing with my sister all the time for approval and to prove myself, my value, my worth, whatever, right? It's a trap because it doesn't matter how much you do this, it's never good enough. It doesn't matter. It's a trap. I mean, for instance, my dad is gone. He's been gone for a long time, but my mom's still alive. Okay, for instance, um, I bought a new house in 2010, brand new, picked, and I'm not saying like executive house, just regular house, brand new. Got to pick everything in it, what colors, design, like what kind of doors, flooring, all that kind of stuff, right? So it's kind of nice because it's something that no one else has lived in. It's brand new. And this is the third property, so it kind of progressed over the years, right? And nobody gave any handouts or anything. Okay, so example. Now, because I got a later start on this because I have the second marriage. My sister only married once. I think she married the first guy that went out with her, really, to be honest. And she never lived on her own. She went from the house. She's a golden child. She went from the house, jumped to the marriage. She never lived on her own. Never was independent. Never worked during high school. Okay, so in my case, I've come from the school of hard knocks. I haven't had an easy life. So whatever. Okay. I'm more the independent type. I really don't give a crap. So anyway, so I had a hard time in my early adulthood, like my, 18, 19, 20s. First husband was a nightmare. So I got divorced and I'm second marriage. Okay. So because of that, it's a little bit of a later start, right? So anyways, so basically it's this competition again. So this is how it goes. So with my sister, she's 10 years older than me. She's married, I think, around, well, when I was still a kid, maybe let's say 19. Um, she moved back. She was living out of province. She moved back to not the city, but a place outside the city. And she moved back in the late 80s. And she's been in that same house, and this house is not brand new. She bought it was used. Okay, so this is my point. You can do title searches. You can even do them online. You pay 25 bucks, whatever at that time. Okay, so you can even do sometimes valuations. If you look up for property tax in neighborhoods, if you get a street address, you can do that for free. Just a valuation, like estimate for property tax purposes. But if you want to get actual title, you can figure out the legal description of a property and do a title search, an online registry thing, and get the actual amount that the person bought the house for and if it's clear title or not. And I was saying to find out how much financing is left on the house, but it'll tell you if it's free and clear or not. And you can do further searches to find out how much the actual mortgage is, but who cares? Anyway, so this is the point. So one time my mom, I don't know why she said this, it was an evil thing to say. I don't know why she said this, but she said to me one time, she said, oh, when you get old, you're gonna lose your house. And I thought, okay, what the hell? Why would you say that? I said, why don't you say that about my sister? So I was really pissed off. So what I did was I did a title search. And the other thing too, just before I'll go on with that, she's also always accusing me that I want to, she said this more than once, that I want to commit her to a nut house and to take her property, sell it, and live rich. And I thought, okay, I don't want her money. I don't care because I've been threatened to be disinherited so many times. Even when my dad was still alive, he did that. So I don't really give a shit. If I want money, I'll make my own money. Okay, so the point is this. So I was really pissed off. So I thought, okay, I'm going to do these title searches. So I did a title search online on my mom's property to find out how much the valuation was and also my sister's. Okay, so I did that to prove as an okay, as on my mom's property, you think I'm going to put you in a nut house and then sell your property and live rich. Live rich on what? Your property's not worth that much. It's an older neighborhood. It's bigger lot size, but it's an older house. That house was built in 1962, before I was born. That house has never been renovated inside. I don't think inside it's been painted since my dad died and he was 52. And you take 1934 plus 52, and that's when he died. When my first kid was under a year old and hasn't been painted since that I know of. I haven't been there for a long time, but whatever. It hasn't been painted for sure in 20 years, I would say. Plus. On the outside, I don't know, some stuff I guess was done, but not much. Plus there's some kind of problem in the basement where, I don't know, the foundation is heaving up or something. I don't know. Some stuff like that's probably big bucks. Okay, so it isn't worth that much, that property. It's not worth as much as the house I'm in, that I'm living in now. So I did that just to prove, okay, you think I want to put you in that house and sell your house and live rich. I am not going to live rich. Okay, I'll say that I'll say ballpark dollar amount. I'm not going to live rich on $300,000. And that's Canadian money, not US, because I think US, some places houses aren't worth a whole lot. So where I am, for a house to be worth $300,000, that's not much. That's kind of below average. Okay. So I thought, okay, whatever. Now the other part is saying I'm going to lose my house. Okay, I think, okay, it's always this competition. My sister's better than me. Okay, bullshit. So then I do property search on my sister's house. Now her house is it's in a smaller city beside my city, kind of thing. Her house is worth about the same as what I am in, and this one's house is brand new. Like I said, 2010 was built. My sister's house was used when she bought it, which was when in the late 80s. I don't know when it was built, but it was already used at that time. So let's say it was built. Let's assume in the 70s or something. I don't know. And it's worth maybe 360 to 380. And what I've got here is about the same. It depends because it fluctuates. Values go up and down. But what the valuation was for regarding property tax for assessment. When you actually sell a house, you could get more or less, but that's about what it is, around between 360 and 380. Again, it's not executive, just regular house, just regular people, right? I'm not a big shot, not a small shot, I'm just in the middle. It's middle class. Okay, so I'm thinking, how is my sister better when the house that we got is new and it's worth basically the same or even maybe a little bit more than what my sister's got? So when I told my mom that, I think it pissed her off. She didn't like it. But that's reality. So this is the kind of thing, you see, to prove yourself, it doesn't work because it doesn't matter. I could show, like with the house thing, I could show the title to my mom on paper to her face, and she won't, compared to what my sister's house is compared to what her house is worth, and she won't acknowledge it. She has to say, "Oh, when I get old, I'm going to lose my house." What kind of thing is that to say? She never said that to my sister. I asked her that, so why don't you say that to her? In fact, I brought up too, and it probably pissed her off. The reality is, like I said, because this is the second marriage for me, so the house is not paid off yet. Okay. But in my sister's case, when she got the house should have been paid off years ago. And it's not because they financed against their mortgage, against the house, against the equity. If you do the title, it shows up, but there's money owed on the house. And that house should have been paid off because, like I said, it was late 80s. So figure that out. So when I told my mom that, she was pissed off because truth hurts, right? As in, okay, you're going to downvalue me, nothing I do is good enough. Yet, how come how come her house isn't paid off? See, it's a different situation. Um, in my sister's case, she never liked to stay home because it was boring for her. Okay, whatever, that's her. So she worked outside the home most of all her marriage. See, I'm the exact opposite of her. I don't think it's boring to stay home because there's all kinds of things you can do. Or you can do nothing. If you're sick, you do nothing. It doesn't matter. You're not punching a clock. You have more flexibility. If you're sick, you can rest. You're not going to get fired. Independence. You can do whatever you want when you want. Your own schedule. So when me and my sister were totally different, opposite people. She can't stay home by herself. She's bored. She's probably bored with herself. She wants to work outside the home. My case, throughout my marriage, my husband's been the breadwinner. I did not have to work outside the home. I did a little bit here and there. And now at this time I do my own small business from my home, and that's how it's going to stay. I don't wish to punch a clock. I don't have to punch a clock. That's the thing. Maybe that, pisses my mom off, but my mom, she stayed home too, so whatever. Okay, so my point is this. If my sister, her husband made pretty good money, and whatever money she made, so there's two incomes in that house, how come that house isn't paid off? Should have been paid off a long time ago. And yet in my case, I'm not the breadwinner, and anything I make, my husband never asks me for anything. He don't mooch off me. He stands on his own 2 feet. And yet, single-handedly, he's paying the mortgage on the house. And because it got a later start because of second marriage, but you know what? The house is going to be paid off within reason on time. And he is older than me, so factor that in. But yeah, so it'll be paid off. So figure that out. But yeah, my mom doesn't see that. So like I say, no matter what you do, you never prove yourself, whether it's financially, academically, it don't matter. Because in fact, when I did that title searches and that, and I told my mom how it was, And she got a relative at a later time to do the exact same thing. It's like she didn't believe what I told her. How ignorant is that? It's like when I did the title search, it wasn't good enough, but when someone else does it, it is. This is how sick they are. They're just a bunch of a-holes. I mean, that's just, there's no other way to put it. They're just a-holes. No matter what you do, if you're designated scapegoat, I'm telling you, no matter what you do, it'll never be good enough. You will never prove yourself to these people. You will never prove how smart you are, um, how independent you are, how strong you are, how wealthy you are. You will never prove it. You will never prove it. So it's like a bad investment, cut it off, cut your losses, because you will never prove it. And it's not worth it. It's a waste of time, waste of energy. And you think about it, aren't you going to be pissed off if, let's say, 20 years you tried to prove something that you could never prove, and they got nothing for it? And they do this all on purpose because it's a control thing. It's like they'll dangle the carrot in front of you, but you'll never get it. And they know that. This is all done on purpose. It's a form of mental torture in a way because you keep trying to jump through these hoops and it's never enough. They always have another hoop for you to jump through. And they don't live in reality, these people either. They choose to believe what they want to believe. When you are in that role, we'll say designated scapegoat, you are in that role as long as that person's alive. They will never change it. You are stuck, you're pigeonholed in that role, and you will stay there. And it's not because of who you are, it's because of who they are and what they need from you. That is why they put you in that role, because it serves their purposes, it serves their needs. So disproving yourself, it's pointless. It's basically so you could jump through hoops and entertain them. I mean, I don't know how else to put it really. They're just sick people. It's a waste of time. I mean, they're worse than spoiled brats. They're just totally worse than spoiled brats. At least a spoiled brat you can discipline. You can't discipline these people. They're just they're just sick people. I don't know how to put it. It's just they get their jollies out of seeing you try and work so hard to get approval that they know they're never going to give to you. So, and to realize that and not seek that approval and get the approval from yourself is and do little steps towards what you want. Let's say you want a goal, you want to purchase a house, um, get a job, make this much money, do whatever you want to do. I don't know, renovate your house, dig up the ground outside and make a garden, landscape. I don't know, whatever you want to do. You know, maybe whatever hobbies like I don't know, sewing, something. I don't know. My husband likes to do hydroponics with plants and outside with plants. And he invents things. That's what he likes to do. Um, I like to do, I don't know, I like to do my business on the computer and I spend most of my time either that or in the kitchen. I like to cook. Plus, I got lots of other things I like to do too, but I don't have enough hours in the day and I'm sick a lot, so I don't get everything done. So pick whatever you like to do and set a goal and work towards it to prove it to yourself that you can do it. And the hell with the family of origin or anyone else that treats you that way that wants to make you jump through hoops because it isn't worth it. And you don't owe them anything. And, maybe they should prove something to you. Why don't they try and prove that they're a human being? Because I don't think they'll ever be able to do that. Okay, thanks for listening. Bye.